Parlez-vous français? We're going to be talking about the French and the colonization of the French. So we do have, the French king, I said at that time, wanting to get involved. And so he sent a guy named Jacques Cartier. But wait just a minute, before Cartier, because Cartier, he knew that there was a new land there already, because there was a land called Newfoundland. Newfoundland or Newfound Land. Whose colony was this? Well, it's kind of a combination because many people went to this colony, and a lot of them were Spanish, and a lot of them were Portuguese, and a lot of them were English, and some French all mixed in. And this colony became very, very popular, but it wasn't really considered a colony, and we'll find out why. Well, going back before Cartier was Jean Cabot, and he sailed and bumped into the Canadian coast. Well, he had a lot of background. First of all, he was Italian, and he was born Italian, and then he spent most of his life in Spain as a Spanish guy, and then as he grew up, he became wanted to be this explorer, and he went to the different countries, and he found England. That the Queen definitely wanted him to be her explorer. So John Cabot, a mixture of all three of these different countries, sailed for England. And he was trying to follow Columbus to find out, knowing this. And he was very interesting, and he was looking for this passageway to China. They all were. In 1497, John Cabot took off from England. Small little ship. Only 20 men. Only 20 men. The ship's name was the Matthew. And he was expecting this to be a very long journey, but as he went, it was very shorter than he thought. A month, he was thinking of traveling for months on end. And so he lands there on the island of Newfoundland. At that time, no one was there, of course. And as you can imagine, as the sailors were looking out and they saw this beautiful land, they saw streams there, they saw maybe the forests there and the grass beaches, and they're thinking, wow, where in the world are we? And then as they looked down into the water, they saw tons of fish. They said, we've never seen this like this. Fish, can you imagine? They were astounded, and the fish were jumping out of the water, and they said, hey, hurry up and get me a basket. And so they took a basket and they threw it down the water, and they gulped up and they pulled up this basket, and it was full of fish. And they thought, wow, this is the best fishing in the world here. And so John Cabot, they landed there, and he said, I claim this land for England. Of course, he was part Spanish and Italian too. And so he was, but he was so excited, and he said, okay. And so he thought he had found this route and was so happy. And so he gets back to England and says, and the 20 sailors, they tell all kinds of stories about the new land there. And so they decided to take 5 ships. And the English and Queen Bess, 5 ships, okay? They load them up with sailors, start out right into the storms. And time goes by. Actually, there were 5 ships. If I say 4, 5 ships. And 4 of them disappeared entirely. No one saw them again. But 1 ship returned. And John Cabot himself was never found again. But, sad story, yeah, but we know the stories. They said, John Cabot, he said he found a route. John Cabot said this land was beautiful. John Cabot said there were riches on this land. John Cabot said this land was swarming with the best fishing that you ever had. Of course, if you're a fisherman, you're wanting to go there, aren't you? And they did. They so wanted to go there. So the boats followed the stories, of course. The stories of the fish. Fishermen's delight. Come to Newfoundland. So France, Spain, Portugal, others too. And they all came. And the springs, the spring in the summer, which is filled with fish. And then it would start to get cold. Yes. They founded a colony called St. John. But when winters came, they all decided to go home. With their fish, of course. They wouldn't want to stay there. Because first it got really foggy and they couldn't even see each other. And they're thinking, oh, this is terrible. And they knew. And the worst storms would come. The worst storms, the snowstorms would hit that area. And the waters would freeze and they couldn't even get out. They knew that. So St. John became a warm weather colony. A fishing colony in Canada there. Winters, St. John would be a ghost town. Maybe there'd be a couple of them just staying out and trying to make it through the winter. But it was a very, very harsh winter. So we can't really call St. John the first true colony. It was more like a resort for fishermen. Okay. Cabot, we're talking about Canada. You can't talk about Canada and the exploration without Jacques Cartier, and I mentioned his name before. The King of France didn't want to be left out. He heard about Cabot and he heard about the fishing, and he knew his friend Jacques Cartier had an explorer's heart. So in 1534, he commissioned him to go to the New World and claim it for France. Cartier went. It took only 3 weeks to get there, so he had a very good start. And he brought a map, to some map maker or whatever, because he was going to map out this whole new land, and he surely was going to find that route to China. He sailed past Newfoundland and into the Gulf of St. Lawrence and got into this really windy river, but he thought surely this river is going to get bigger and bigger, and then we'll end up getting into the other ocean over there to the Spice Islands. But on the way, he also ran into some people that he was kind of concerned with, the Native Americans that were there. And he was going to have to make sure that they were friendly, because if not, how is he going to make it on the other side? To be continued.